Welcome to Fantasy Football for fucking everyone with Alex, Art, and Gabe.
What's going on, everybody? This is Alex, and this is Fantasy Football for fucking everyone. And as you can hear, it's just me and Knight running it solo. We have running backs to talk about. Art and Dave are a little tied up. I sent them on a scouting mission. They're looking at wide receivers. They're looking at tight ends for Dynasty. So we're rocking and rolling, and we're gonna get you my opinions on the running backs tonight. It is Thursday. I believe it's June 11th, but who knows what day it is. And I just want to talk to you guys about, of course, Smart Money Tool by RotoWire. That's a continuing partnership that we're running with all year long. I also want to talk to you about the current OTA news, a little Brandon Ayuk drama, and then, of course, Dynasty and Keeper running backs tonight. Some of my favorites, some of my fades, and I just want to let you know my thoughts about the rookie, so we'll get this thing started. Brought up the Brandon Ayuk drama. It's wild out there, but in my personal belief, and I am a little biased, I traded for Brandon Ayuk before his 2024 season when he suffered that debilitating ACL injury, and then he sat out last year. I do have him in a fantasy dynasty league, but big butts there, guys. I think he's pulling an AB. I think he's just freaking out so he get traded, so he get released, so he could go to the Commanders. He wants to play with Jaden Daniels, and I know his posts seem off-putting, especially when we're talking about the NFL in a whole, as in an organization looking at Brandon Ayuk, and it's like, I don't want to deal with that drama. I don't want that toxicity in my locker room. But I think the talent that's there, absolutely, I would take a bet on him, especially if I'm the Commanders. Jaden Daniels rooting for him, him with a chip on his shoulder. He has had a top 15 wide receiver breakout season. I even believe he's been in the top 10. Could be wrong. I don't have anybody check me here tonight, so I might just throw some random stats at you all. I really think Ayuk is somebody that you could buy low right now, and I feel like that's somebody that could be a weekly starter in fantasy, especially if he lands in the right team. So that's my take on the drama. It doesn't look good right now. But again, AB didn't look good when he was freaking out when he was on the Steelers, when he was freaking out when he was on the Raiders, when he's running around on Instagram with his shirt off that he got traded from the Steelers to the Raiders. Like, it was wild. And if Brandon Ayuk is taking the same approach, we can definitely see a buy low right now. Guys, trade him for your 4th round 2026 rookie draft pick. Like, you're not getting anybody in the 4th round that is any kind of a confident pick. Everybody you're taking in the 4th round in 2026 rookie draft for your dynasty and keeper leagues, you are relying on a hope and a prayer. With Brandon Ayuk, that is somebody that, hey, even if he's sitting on your bench, even if you release him mid-season because he doesn't get signed, at least you know that the upside is just so great in that situation where I really think Brandon Ayuk is a buy low. That's that for the Brandon Ayuk news, my personal opinion. Next opinion I want to get in, which, of course, I'm biased. I have Bashal Tutin in the same league, actually, in a Dynasty 12-person Superflex league. Chris Rodriguez already has I believe it's a shoulder injury. And him being banged up and him not being in OTAs and him being one step behind Tutin and essentially Allen because he's not getting that pre-work because the team's not seeing him. Like, Bashal Tutin is going off in OTAs right now. Reporters are talking about him taking not countless. I'm exaggerating. I'm really excited right now. We're him taking many handoffs to the end zone. Like, the big playability on this guy is huge. We already know that offense is cooking. We already know they had a top offense last year. It looks like Liam Cohen unlocked Trevor Lawrence. And Bashal Tutin, with those stud wide receivers there and with that nice offensive line, with the good defense they have, they do have a top, I'll settle down, we'll say a top 10 defense in the NFL right now. Bashal Tutin, if they're up big in games, even if they're grinding out the clock, Bashal Tutin's going to get those carries. Yeah, Chris Rodriguez could play a mix, but I really believe that Bajal Tootin has the upside for a running back 1 right now, and him being drafted at the running back. Let's look. I got it highlighted. It should be quick. Him being drafted at the running back 25 in Dynasty startups. Him being ranked at the running back 25 in RotoWire rankings right now, Dynasty rankings at the start of June. Like the upside pick is just it's awesome, and I think it's a guy that you have to bet on. It's a guy that I am betting on, like on that team that I keep telling you guys about. My top 3 running backs are Tony Pollard, Bajal Tootin, and Kyle Monangai. Like I need him this year, and I think the opportunity's there. Not gonna lie to you all, I have been trying to trade for RB1, Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley. You know, if you're listening, you know I'm talking about you. But at the end of the day, I'm fully confident in Bajal Tootin being my running back 1, especially with that value, because I do fully believe he is going to be out that running back 25 ADP ranking where we stand today. So Bajal Tootin, buy. If not like in sync, buy, like buy him, buy low, buy when other owners might be selling, because running backs are hard to come by anymore. We're going to talk about that more today. Like my feelings are I'm surprised I didn't have stronger feelings with the running back rankings with the running backs that are available, because we just don't know. And I feel like a lot of these running backs, like they give me a top 75, top 72 with RotoWire. Most of these guys have opportunity besides Trey Benson. That was a weak moment in F4E. Art, love you. 80% fab. Didn't agree with it then. Don't agree with it now. Phenomenal take. Love it. And for OTA news, I just did like a little AI search, a little Google search. It's the slow season right now. We're just going through OTAs. Guys are reporting, guys are not. You can't really tell so much about that. With OTAs, I saw the news that Caleb Johnson from the Steelers is getting a lot of first team reps, but that's because Jalen Warren and Rico Dowdle aren't there. So that's an example where yes, Caleb Johnson, he looks good. He's getting reps with the first team, but you can't put too much depth into that because of the fact that the first 2 on the depth chart aren't participating in OTAs. So of course he's going to get those carries, but on the flip side, he's available. He gets his carries. He shows off. That could show more opportunity for Caleb Johnson in that new Mike McCarthy offense. Like if Mike McCarthy's seeing things that he likes, he's giving more playing time. I mean, happened to Aaron Jones when he was a rookie with Mike McCarthy there. So moving on, but the guy I want to talk to, I want to talk about the Patriots, and I want to talk about Kyle Williams. What? I thought we were talking about A.J. Brown. I thought we were talking about Travion Henderson. We're going to talk about the backfield a little bit today with the Patriots because it's a little ambiguous. But Kyle Williams is the reporters are saying that Kyle Williams is really showing his stuff in OTAs right now. And with A.J. Brown there, with Romeo Doubs there, this is a big chance for Kyle Williams. And I know we still got Pop Douglas. We still got Kayshon Boutte. Kayshon Boutte is, threatening trade requests. Like, he's not so happy. Like, who the hell cares? Because Kyle Williams, he's a big guy. He's a fast guy. We saw him on a couple breakout plays last year. Didn't shine much, but they did run the ball a lot in New England. I think they will again. But Kyle Williams as the 3rd receiver on the depth chart, I mean, he could really outplay his ADP and his dynasty rankings right now. We haven't gotten into wide receivers. That'll be next episode. Hopefully I have some friends that episode, because I do want to take a second, because I didn't do this, and I was planning to do this at the beginning of the episode, but then I got all caught up. I was looking at the agenda, and I really don't know what I'm doing without my guys here. But DGen League, I'm in this 16-person auction league. It's wild. Small rosters, $200 to start. Only like a 2-quarterback limit in that league. And we're switching to keeper. Shout out DGen League. My boy Jesse, he's commissioned. He does a great job. Wish he'd run a basketball league again, but he didn't last year, so I'm a little sad. I sent out a chat. So these guys are the biggest ball busters. I brought this up last season. These guys are the biggest ball busters in the world. I sent out an invite because I was like, hey guys, I need another. Not a single guy stepped up. Not a single person was like, hey, let's pod. Let's get some takes. Let's get it going. But anytime I share my episode, they want to say some shit and be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You're talking about rankings. You're talking about what everybody else is talking about. Guys, get on the mic and let's hear you do it too. DGen League calling you out. Make sure I'll shoot a shout out in the text, but I just want to call them out for a second. So, Brandon Ayuk, my feelings. The Jacksonville running back room, my feelings. OTA news, what's coming out. Especially, I mean, AJ Brown probably isn't in OTAs right now. I didn't look that up, but Romeo Doubs definitely is. And if Kyle Williams is getting some looks and he's already getting that connection with Drake May, I think it's safe to say with his ADP and what you're able to trade for him right now with his dynasty rankings, he should be a value there, and he should, really pay off. And even if it's not this year, it's next year with AJ Brown's glass knees there. Shout out to Art. And that's it. I'm going to take a sip of my beverage because I'm doing a lot of talking. Usually I have a little break. All right, back into it. Fully fueled. Let's talk about the Smart Money Tool. Smart Money Tool by RotoWire. As I said our last episode, the bet episode where you had to listen to my annoying voice, which might have been more annoying than it is usually, but it could also be less annoying. It sounded like Dave liked it. The Smart Money Tool is basically, this is the best comparison, is Expedia for betting. Like, it's an Expedia for sports books. What the Smart Money Tool does is it takes multiple sports books, all the sports books it has access to, and it gives you the best odds per bet to put your money on. I mean, it does all the work for you. It's like, hey, I'm going to shoot out a couple. One I saw today, as I flip my notebook, one I saw today on the Smart Money Tool for the NBA playoffs. Let's just, come on, guys. It's Thursday. We all saw that legendary Knicks game last night, down by 29, chipped away in the second half. The Spurs, frauds, most points scored in a half in the first half, least points scored by a team in the second half. Like, that is ridiculous. And for the Knicks to just come back and chip away and believe in themselves, that was phenomenal. But we're looking at Game 5, which will be in San Antonio. Let's go Knicks. We got Mitchell Robinson, the backup center for the Knicks. Elbowed Wemby in the face. That was really cool. But right now, I have a sports book down here in Florida that's called Parlay Play. We got Mitchell Robinson over 2.5 points at minus 133. The stake is $374. We're at 1.4% edge, and the win probability is 57%. If you're betting $100 on that bet, you're winning 75. That's a safe bet. That's a smart bet all day. I'm betting Mitchell Robinson, and I also have a couple more here from the guys that we want to talk about. All right, guys, a couple more bets I want to talk to you about on the Smart Money Tool. One bet, shout out to Dave, that he put out, and I had to do some research about this because I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. All right, let's get the name. Achraf Hakimi. That might be wrong, but he plays for Morocco. Soccer player. And this bet is player fouls over 1.5. We're looking at the Pennsylvania sports books right now because my boy Dave, Dave and Art, they're a couple Yinzes. They live in Pittsburgh. But we're looking at Sugar House and some other one. I don't know what it is. I didn't do my research that well, but Sugar House is definitely one of them. Achraf Hakimi, over 1.5 player fouls. $500 staked. We got 0.2% edge. Not great, but this is a 51% win probability at minus 103. Are you that's money all day? You're winning $97 off $100, and I don't know who, I don't bet $100, but I'm sure some of you degenerates do. Even $10, you're doubling your money. You are doubling your money with this bet. It's ranked at 89 on the Smart Money Tool, and we got 51% win probability. That is one of the best win probabilities I have seen in the Smart Money Tool. To know that more than half your chance you're doubling your money, that is insane. So guys, make sure you're clicking the link on our Instagram, on our YouTube, Fantasy Football, the number 4, everyone. That name might come into play more prevalent in the near future. So just a little teaser for everybody listening. But the last bet I want to talk to you about, which is wild because it's a $5 bet down here in Florida at plus 1,000. You bet $1, you win $10. You bet 100, you win 1,000. If you have $100 burn a hole through your pocket, this is the bet to take because the odds aren't so great. And that's what we love about the Smart Money Tool is it tells us the odds. It is. All right, guys, this name's going to test me. We're going to see Khalid Essa Muhammad Al-Gaham over 0.5 goals. This guy scores a goal, you're multiplying your money times 10. Only $500 have been bet on it. Has a close to a 1% edge at 0.9%, but the win probability is less than 10%. We're at 9%. So not a big win probability, but like I said, you got $100. You're like, damn, I just need to spend $100. I don't know, like I just need to spend it. Bet the World Cup. Khalid Essa Muhammad Al-Gaham over basically scoring a goal down here in Florida. Plus 1,000 on Rebet is the sports book. And that is another really cool thing about the smart money tool, everyone. I don't even know that these sports books exist. Sign up, throw some money in, make some easy money. These odds are out of this world. And I just want to give a shout out to everybody that listens to this podcast, everybody that's been clicking, even just clicking. Nobody's bought the smart money tool yet, even though it's a great value, especially for the year as we get into football season. But the people clicking on the link, looking at the smart money tool, I would shout out to everybody out there. Yeah, and we'll just keep it. I think that's all I had. Oh no, I had one more. Hold on, I'm messing up here. We got the Phoenix Mercury playing tonight on June 11th. So I don't know if this podcast is gonna make it, but the Phoenix Mercury on the money line against the Dallas Wings, beating the Dallas Wings. We got over $4,000 at stake for the Phoenix Mercury to beat the Dallas Wings on this sports book in Florida. Let's see what it's called. Quick click, and something went wrong. Hold on, one more. Something went wrong. Plus 240 at a $10 bet. What? Plus 240 at any bet, but making 2.5 off $1. You cannot beat that. Let's see. We get to the sportsbook. We're at Sports Zeno. There it is. Sports Zeno down here in South Florida. Sports Zeno's got plus 240 on the Mercury being the Wings at 29% win probability. Over $4,000 bet. 94%. 94 is the overall score on the bet. Smart money. Bet $10. Win back 24. Why not? You got 10. I usually, more than often, pretty much about all the time, have $10 burn a hole through my pocket over 100. So that is a very smart bet. I mean, but that's also like the Khalid Essa Muhammad Al-Gaham goal is also at 94 overall score in the smart money tool. Couple really smart bets. Want to throw at you just a couple examples of how you can utilize this tool and how you can make a lot of money this summer and into the football season when we really ramp up. Trying to help everybody out here, like just trying to do my job, trying to get you guys listening, trying to help out the listeners. You listen to the pod, I want to make you guys some money. No baseball this week. When I don't know shit about baseball. Art knows everything about baseball. So when Art's back next week, we'll talk about some baseball. But you had us for an hour and a half last week. This week it's not going to be that long. This week we're only at like 20 minutes, if that. I don't know. I had to pause real quick. I had a phone call. Who knows? But let's get into what the episode's about. Let's talk about some running backs. I'm going to tell you my favorites, my fades. Of course, this is one man's opinion, so you don't have to listen. But I do want to talk about, those buy-sell guys, a couple of battles that I'm looking at and who I would pick in Dynasty. Even though it's supposed to be for Art and Dave, they're going to have to listen to this and be like, oh boy, Alex really taking one on the chin here. It's okay. Love you guys. We're going to keep it rock and rolling. And then I'm going to go through the running backs, teams they were drafted to, who I think is value in fantasy and who I think isn't. Before I even get into that, I just scrolled down my my show sheet, and I remember that last week we talked about the projected quarterbacks drafted in 2027. This is a Dynasty Keeper show. Let's talk about that same mock draft with Bleacher Report, and let's talk about the running backs that I saw drafted in that first round from that mock draft with Bleacher Report, and also bust out a little bit AI, a little Google Gemini. I asked who are the top running backs in 2027 that are draft eligible, and I got a couple names for you guys to keep an eye on. Not keep a look at. That's not a real thing people say. It's keep an eye on. For the past couple years, it disbanded last year. Drama. But so I was in this Devy League. So a Devy League is a developmental league where essentially you have some college players on your roster. So when they get drafted or not drafted, they get instantly placed on your roster as they're drafted, which was really cool. It was a lot of fun. I would like to do another Devy League one day. As you guys know, I've been doing fantasy football episodes in June, so I am a freak. But just a few projected stud running backs for the 2027 NFL draft. According to the mock draft, hold on, I got to take another sip. Hold on, give me a second. Lots of talking. So, according to the Bleacher Report mock draft, the first round mock draft that they did for the way too early for 2027, as Dave said last week, one running back in that draft, and that's Jaden Bow, I think it's Bow, Baugh, from the University of Florida. They had him going to Baltimore. Interesting. At the 29th pick, also interesting. Jesse Minter can make McDaniels vibes from Seattle, then he will definitely, be in the 29th pick. But new coaches scare me. Ask me about the Giants on my off time, or maybe next week when we talk about my league neighbors. Giants scare me. So yeah, Jaden Bow was in that mock draft as the lone running back taken in the first round. So that might be it won't be a number one pick in Superflex Dynasty leagues next year. Like, we got Jeremiah Smith and Arch Manning and Dante Moore, Darian Mensah coming out. We got a lot of good quarterbacks and a generational wide receiver. Like, the people are hyped about Jeremiah Smith, but Jaden Bow probably will be a top 6 pick if everything plays out according to this mock draft and the way we're looking at the 2027 CFB season way too early in the middle of June. But some other running backs I wanted to throw out there. One is Ahmad Hardy from the Missouri Tigers. He had top 3 rushing yards in 2025. So if he's able to repeat that, he will probably more than definitely, repeat that or come close, make Mizzou relative. He should be the second running back taken off the board if everything continues on the trajectory it is on. That's what happens to me when I try to use a big word. Mark Fletcher Jr. from the Hurricanes. We saw him play in the finals last year. Great running back, very dependable, very consistent. Hits the hole well. He's a little bit of a bigger back. Wouldn't say he's a big breakout guy, but we could definitely see some teams using them. LJ Martin from BYU. He was the Big 12 leader in rushing last year, running for 1,305 yards. So, again, a notable back that could be useful in Dynasty in 2027. And then Nate Frazier from UGA. I actually don't have, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Nate Frazier, UGA. UGA has always, if they have running backs that go to the pros, they typically produce. Even the point I wanted to get into was even Trevor Achane with the Panthers being the third running back there. Listening to a lot of Alan Swazowski this offseason. He has a new show called Dynasty Hour, which is awesome, but he's had a couple of guests in on there. Really excited about Trevor Achane with the fact of Jonathan Brooks' injury history, Chuba Hubbard injury history. Could be a great buy low guy. I actually traded away. We're going to get into this a little bit more in a little bit with my opinions. But I traded away Kenneth Gainwell and LaQuint Allen for James Conner, Trevor Achane, and a 2028 second round pick, which I picked up Kenneth Gainwell off waivers, and I'm not a big fan this year, and in a little bit you'll hear why. But yes, again, Georgia running backs, Nate Frazier, guy name to look out for, Trevor Achane, whatever. I don't know how he says his name. His brother says it Achane. He could be a big buy low, this guy. This year, and he was drafted in the same realm of Cam Scatterbo, of Bajal Tootin. So the Panthers, obviously, in the same regime that they're in, thought highly of Trevor Achane and that what he could produce. I know they extended Chuba Hubbard. I know JB, Jonathan Brooks, is having an outstanding OTA. You're probably, you could get Chuba for the right price, but I don't want to pay that price right now. I'd rather pay for the third guy, where I know once I get to week 11, week 12, week 13, this could be the starter once I get to playoffs and in a Dave Canales system. All about Dave Canales running backs. So I do love Jonathan Brooks. Don't love the injury history. You're probably not going to get him. You're probably going to get him at peak value right now. Chuba Hubbard is what it is. you're probably not going to get that much of a discount on him, but Trevor Etienne is a guy that is just completely forgotten about. And I think we see how running backs go in the NFL. Injury here, injury there. Now they got a new starter this week. He shows his stuff, especially being a dominant running back at UGA, a program that likes to rotate their running backs, and he was the guy. He can definitely be on the same tier as the two running backs I mentioned previously, like Scatabo and like Bajal Tootin. So just my opinions, guys. Like I said, I have nobody check me. I mean, my guys in my chats, they like to bust my chops. They didn't want to pop on the pod though, so they're a little scared. They don't know ball like that, but that's okay. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here to teach them. Let's get running backs. I'm going to go through my list. I'm going to go through running backs that I'm a big fan of right now, running backs that I am fading hard right now, and then I'm going to get into the backfield battles and the rookies a little bit. I am going to talk about a couple rookies while we're getting into favorites and fades. But my first favorite off the board at running back 7, ranked 33rd in the RotoWire Dynasty rankings at the beginning of June, is Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton, he only played 9 games last year. And I had everything pulled up, but let me pull it back up. He only played 9 games last year, but he also balled out during those games. Like, he was insane. And he scored a lot of touchdowns. He also has Mike McDaniels as his offensive coordinator this year. And I feel like that's really the perfect marriage, right? Harbaugh, McDaniels. McDaniels is so far to the wild and crazy, like, just run, like not run and gun, but just air yards, getting running backs a lot of receptions, getting big yards, putting up big scores. And Harbaugh is more conservative there, where he just wants to grind out the clock and make sure he gets the W, because he knows wins are the only things that matter in the NFL, and it's not stats. But here we go. I got it all pulled up. Omarion Hampton, 9 games played, 4.4 yards per carry. And in those 9 games, he had 5 touchdowns. That's why I liked a lot about him last year. And that's in a Greg Roman offense where, they kind of grind the ball more. I mean, 124 attempts in 9 games. He didn't really start kicking off until about week 3. Yep, week 3 he had a 25-point game. Week 4 he had a 28-point game. Week 5, when he got hurt, he had 13 points, and he did not come back until week 14. Love Omarion Hampton. And I know there's a lot of Keaton Mitchell could play that more A-chain role. It's like, guys, we overthink this stuff all the time. We overthink rosters. We overthink signings. We overthink depth. It's just like Bajal Tootin that we'll get into. It's like we're fading Bajal Tootin because he signed Chris Rodriguez. Like, who the hell cares? Who cares about Chris Rodriguez when you have a dominant back? You think Bijan Robinson is worried about Brian Robinson? You think Jahmyr Gibbs is worried about Isaiah Pacheco? I mean, the fantasy community is not. Isaiah Pacheco could see the same workload, if not, 10, 20% less than David Montgomery saw over the past 2-3 years. Like, Isaiah Pacheco is not a bum. He was a starting running back for a Super Bowl winning team. We need to think about essentially these top 10, top 20 running backs the way we're going to think about, the top 2. Number 3 going in Dynasty rankings right now is Jeremiah Love. We love Jeremiah Love for Dynasty. He's 21 years old. He got drafted in the top 4. He got drafted 3rd overall in the 2025 NFL draft. But guys, we don't think, and we're talking about Dynasty. So let me back up a little bit. 1.1 for Jeremiah Love is extremely acceptable. If you don't take Jeremiah Love at the 1.1 or trade that pick away for somebody that needs it for a haul, I don't know what you're doing. Because over the next 5 years, people are saying Jeremiah Love is into the talent of Bijan Robinson. He could be with the opportunity. With the Mike LaFleur offense, we see Matt LaFleur out there, what he's doing with Josh Jacobs. Jeremiah Love could be the guy, but I do not think he is particularly the guy in 2026, and taking him at the 1.1 in Dynasty drafts, you have to be okay with that. Once we get into redraft, we have redraft episodes coming up in July and August. Jeremiah Love, I think, is extreme value, especially with Dynasty manager or fantasy football managers fading him because of what happened with us with Ashton Genty last year, but we were also drafting Ashton Genty at number 6 overall. That's on us, guys. We should not expect that out of a rookie on a team that sucks. Jeremiah Love, we're expecting Ashton Genty on a team that sucks. We're expecting the same thing as last year. So in redraft, I think he's being drafted appropriately. But if we don't forget, Ashton Genty had some monster games last year, especially in the fantasy football playoffs, that really helped a lot of fantasy football managers that took the chance on him. It was like, finally, I made it through the muck, and he's finally paying off when I need him. That's what we need. Jeremiah Love might be the same situation, but I think for Dynasty, I think he's a stud. If you get the 1.1 pick and have him on your team, I think he is going to be up there in the top 5. I mean, top 5 are Bijan, Gibbs, Love, Genty, 8-Chain. Then we got Jonathan Taylor, and then we got Omarion Hampton. That's where I think Omarion Hampton is the value. But I don't think you're going to be able to trade for the 1.1 or for Omarion Hampton unless you are in extreme win now mode. You don't care about your 2027 picks. The team that has them is still in rebuilding. Like, that is how you're going to get those 2 players. But it's going to be a hefty price to pay. Another guy I really like that I had listed in the show notes is a big buy low candidate, DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is being drafted at the running back 27 right now in Dynasty Starter drafts. That is 10, 11 rounds into the draft, where I think that holds extreme value. Last year, he was running back 15. Last year, he was running back 15. He had 223 attempts, and he had over 1,000 yards. And the reason why, like, he is being drafted at half of his finish from 2025. And that's why I like DeAndre Swift right now. Big trade for candidate, buying low. I think a lot of people think that Kyle Monangai, who I also love, he's being drafted 2 running backs later, according to RotoWire. But Kyle Monangai was running back 30. Like, he did half of what DeAndre Swift did in fantasy in 2025, but we love him because he had some big breakout games, but he only had 170 rush attempts. He didn't play more than 50% of his snaps until week 9. He only had 25. I mean, in week 9, he had over 25 points. And there's only one game where he played more than 50% of his snaps in 2025. And yes, he was a rookie last year. I understand. But when we're talking about Ben Johnson offense, when we're talking about Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, that's the evidence that we've had in the past with Ben Johnson. DeAndre Swift is in the Jahmyr Gibbs role, and Kyle Monangai is in the Montgomery role. And Kyle Monangai could play a better Montgomery role this year, but I think to do that, he just needs to score more touchdowns, and then he will be a top 20, top 25 running back. I think Kyle Monangai is a RB2 all day. Will he have running back 1 weeks? Yes. Is it more than probable that DeAndre Swift will miss a couple weeks? Yes. But DeAndre Swift being ranked at running back 27, being drafted at running back 27 in Dynasty startup drafts is a massive value. So let's make sure we are looking at DeAndre Swift. And here's a trade. Here's a trade I wrote out that I really like, especially for a win now team. So according to Fantasy Trade Calc, and I was looking at the numbers, and the numbers are pretty close. They're with couple hundred for point value, but you could trade away Blake Corum, a 2027 second, a 2028 second for Terry McLaurin and DeAndre Swift. And if I'm a win now team, I'm hitting that accept button 10 out of 10 times. I want Terry McLaurin. We'll talk about it next episode. I want DeAndre Swift. I just told you why. Blake Corum, yes, I love the upside last year, but I really, really can't. I just don't trust for the Rams, Sean McVay's offense with running backs. I really believe that he wants to stick to one running back. Could Blake Corum get some burn? Absolutely. Could Blake Corum eat into Kyron Williams' rushing attempts, pass targets, snap share? It's a very, very, very likely he could do that this year, especially where they drafted him 2 years ago in the NFL draft. But I would way rather, as my running back 2, running back 3, have DeAndre Swift than Blake Corum as my running back 3, running back 4. And I would love Terry McLaurin as my wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 this year. I think that he, especially that as of right now, there's nobody else around Terry McLaurin, so he is a great value right now. A couple more players I really I highlighted here. One is Jadarian Price. Jadarian Price, apparently, according to OTA, so right now in Dynasty, he's the 11th running back drafted off the board. But in the 58th pick, so that's 5th round pick, so that's not bad as your running back too. And he should get a lot of opportunity this year. Right now in OTAs, like before we even know anything, when we're just like kind of looking through the news, he's already sharing first team reps with George Halani. George Halani is so bad. He is not good. Emmanuel Wilson isn't even getting burned with the first team reps. And I mean, Jadarian Price was drafted to be their starter. Like he was. And when Zach Charbonnet, that's another story. Who knows what that's going to look like? And I feel like that's really dependent on Jadarian Price. But if Jadarian Price is able to come in, ball out, they kind of treat, I mean, that's a big ask. So I'm not even going to go there. But let's look at the rankings. If they treat Jadarian Price like they would treat all right, let's talk about who we just talked about, DeAndre Swift. And then Emmanuel Wilson gets, those Kyle Monangai attempts, or Zach Charbonnet gets those Kyle Monangai attempts. We'll see. I mean, saw Kenny Walker ball out, so it's really up to Jadarian Price and where he's being drafted at right now in Dynasty. I think I am willing to take a bet on that. The only players below him in Dynasty rankings I'd rather have over him in the top 20 are probably Chase Brown. That's really it. I mean, Javonte Williams is interesting. I mean, Travion Henderson's running back 12, like right after him. That's interesting. Quinshon Judkins is interesting, but if I had a chance for Jadarian Price, I think I'd rather bet on the 22-year-old. Judkins is also 22. We'll talk about him in a second. Travion Henderson. Travion Henderson balled out for 3 weeks last year. He really did. He had 29.8 fantasy points per game when Ramondre Stevenson was not playing and when he was out and injured. But Ramondre Stevenson got most of the carries. Ramondre Stevenson had 4 games with less than 50% snaps in 2025. He was running back 25, but he only had 5 games with 10 plus carries. So that's also where I like Travion Henderson, being that he could get a lot more opportunity. Like we saw the breakout plays. We know that they're going to be in a more pass prominent offense in New England this year, signing AJ Brown. But we also know that they are going to run the rock. Like they are going to run the rock. And if Travion Henderson, he came out of college being a prolific pass blocker, if he's able to be on the field during those passing downs, that is even going to stretch their offense out more with Josh McDaniels. And they are going to make sure Travion Henderson is in the game because of his breakout potential. Like that guy can bust out a touchdown at any point. And that is, I think, at running back 12 for a 2026 startup dynasty draft. I think that is a great value, being able to draft him in at the beginning of the 6th round. On to the next running back. All right, brought him up earlier, Quinshon Judkins. I do like him. A little questionable about him. About him. Can't talk. But I do like that Baltimore rush for 400 attempts last year with Todd Monken. And Quinshon Judkins was running back 26 in 2025, where he never topped 70% of the snaps. So he made the most of what he had. Running back 26. It's not bad. That's a flex player in most leagues. In all leagues, that's a flex player. So I do like Quinshon Judkins, but I really like Dylan Sampson. So we'll get down there in a little bit. Like the opportunity, like what he showed on field last year. Don't like the ankle injury right now, but big fan of Quinshon Judkins. Another guy I like. Yeah, let's continue with the guys I like, and then we'll get a couple guys I don't like. Because there's only a couple guys I don't like. Ramondre Stevenson, have him highlighted that I like, but when I started looking at his numbers, not a big fan. He didn't really do great. He was a compiler last year. He was running back 25, so one before Quinshon Judkins, where Quinshon Judkins is being drafted 13 running backs ahead of Ramondre Stevenson, or at least ranked that high, where Quinshon Judkins, you get him in the 6th round. Ramondre Stevenson, you could wait until like the 12th round, which is not bad. But again, he is a compiler, especially if Travion Henderson steps up, we could see a big dip in Ramondre Stevenson's snap share, especially since he didn't have that many games. He only had 4 games last year where he had majority of snaps. So Ramondre Stevenson, if you could trade low for him, you get him as a RB3, could pay off for you, but also I'd be wary there. Big Tyrone Tracy fan, running back 28. Especially once Cam Scatterbo went down last year. Cam Scatterbo said he rushed for 100. He had 100 rush attempts last year, rushed for 400 yards. So this year with 300, he rushed for 2,000 yards. Makes a lot of sense. But I think Tyrone Tracy is going to be a passing down back, and I don't think the Giants want to have Cam Scatterbo on the field for 80-90% of snaps because he has that big ankle injury from last year. Yeah, like Dave said last year, he was, playing celebrity softball, and he was going to try to play through that injury, but you're hurt, you can't play the same extent, and that's where Tyrone Tracy steps in. Got some rookies down here that I will talk about later, but last but definitely not least, running back 68 off the board that I talked about in our first episode, best ball episode. I mean, you're drafting this guy 21 rounds in, and that's Alvin Kamara. I bought him low. I bought in the same league I keep talking about. I bought Alvin Kamara for the 312 in the 2026 rookie draft. That was a great value, in my opinion, because Alvin Kamara, if he stays in New Orleans, he will be the passing down back. I, go back to episode 1, summer season, F4E 23, episode 1 of season 3. If you want to hear about my Alvin Kamara take, but big Alvin Kamara fan this year, because even if he doesn't get traded, which I'm really hoping he does because I traded for him, I think he will have a role in that New Orleans offense. And Chris Olave's hurt. Jordan Tyson has injury history. Like, they will need a receiving back more than likely. So I got 2 players I'm fading this year. Might be right on par with the markets, but being where they're drafted and what I've heard, I'm gonna go against the grain, and that is what I am really best at. But my first one is RJ Harvey, being drafted at running back 24 in the 8th round, which isn't a bad spot for the, starter in air quotes for Denver in the playoffs last year, but he had 4+ yards per carry, I would say, in 2 honest weeks last year. RJ Harvey has huge breakout potential. The issue is if he doesn't get that breakout, he is not putting up those numbers. Like, if he doesn't get that breakout run, he is going to get you less than 10 fantasy points, unless if he catches 4 balls and scores a touchdown for you. So he had 2 honest weeks with 14+ rush attempts where he had 4+ yards per carry. He only had 19 carries in the playoffs without J.K. Dobbins there for 57 yards, and they made it all the way to the AFC Championship, and they needed him in that AFC Championship. They drafted Jonah Coleman, who we'll talk about a little bit, in the 4. It was a day 3 pick for the Broncos. Re-signed J.K. Dobbins to a multi-year contract. Like, the proof is in the pudding, guys. RJ Harvey is not going to be the significant back in the Broncos offense. And I'll always go back to, my boy, the guy that really inspired me to get into fantasy football podcasting, John Hansen, the guru, as he said in the league, legendary fantasy football show. Sean Payton is evil for fantasy football running backs. You cannot trust them. Love J.K. Dobbins, where he's always drafted. Right now, he's running back 34. You get him in the 13th round of a Dynasty startup, or even trade for him at that value. J.K. Dobbins is going to be the guy unless Jonah Coleman takes over, and RJ Harvey's just going to be a passing down back. Big breakout guy at running back 24 in the 8th round. I don't think he's worth it, and I don't think he will be worth it. And he's already 25 in his 2nd season. Like, yeah, that's not, old. I wish I was 25. But Jeremiah Love being in his first season is 21. So when you look at a value like that, J.K. Dobbins also 27. Like, he isn't, like, he's not the guy to bet on. And that's just my thing with RJ Harvey. Like, yes, could he have big weeks? Yes. Could he be on championship winning fantasy football teams this year? Absolutely. But if I'm not taking him at that draft capital, and I'm not trusting him. And another guy, my fantasy ballers chat knows this. My DGen league in the sleeper chat knows this. Earlier I quoted DGen league. That wasn't a DGen league I was talking about. Is the intergalactic league. I misspoke. But let's get into it. Kenneth Gainwell Everybody in fantasy loves Kenneth Gainwell. I can't stand him right now. 2025, he had 85 targets with a quarterback that can't throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field. He had 2 games where he had 2 touchdowns, and he finished at a top 20 running back in fantasy football, which is fine. He's a running back too, but he is not the 40th, like in Dynasty startups. Like, he is not. Like, yeah, running back 40, sure, take a flyer off him around Rashad White after Jordan Mason. But I'd rather in Dynasty take a flyer on Jonah Coleman, on Nicholas Singleton, on these guys, on Emmett Johnson, Tyrone Tracy, Dylan Sampson. Like, I'd rather take a flyer on these guys that have been in the league for a couple years than Kenneth Gainwell, because I do not see Kenny G busting out another 85 targets. I do not see him doing it again. It's just it's more unlikely than it is likely. So I really feel like Kenneth Gainwell, if you're trading for him, if you're targeting him, I feel like it's a waste. In my show notes, he's Milli Vanilli. One hit wonder. He's never going to do it again. He's a fraud. I'm calling Kenny G a fraud. And do what you will with them, but that's solely my opinion. And I think that is all my buy, sell guys, my faves, my fades. Let's get through this because I'm talking way more than I thought it was. Bring back battles. Pick one. Let's start. New York Giants, Cam versus Tyrone in a dynasty draft. I am picking probably Cam Scabba in a dynasty draft. Second one, New England, Ramondre versus Travion. Picking Travion, dynasty draft. Carolina, Chuba versus JB. I mean, I have to take JB. My favorite, as you heard earlier, is Trevor Achan. But for 2026 and beyond, I think JB has the most opportunity. Pittsburgh, Warren versus Rico in Dynasty. I'm sticking with Jalen Warren. I don't know if Mike McCarthy can unlock Rico Dowdle the way that Dave Canales did, and I'm betting he can't. I think Jalen Warren is a really consistent back who can catch the rock, and I think McCarthy's going to lean into that guy. Tampa Bay, Bucky versus Kenny. Bucky all day. Rams, Kyron versus Quorum. Still believe in KW. Like Quorum, I think he did great things at Michigan. I think he really showed out a little bit this year, but I think KW is the better back in that backfield. Chicago, Swift versus Monangai. Gonna go a little different here. I'm gonna go Monangai. I think Monangai has a better long-term role in that offense. We go Washington. We have a couple of 3-headed running backs down here. Washington, Rashad versus GCM versus Katron Allen. Guys, I don't have Katron Allen anywhere, and I, haven't really been targeting him, but like between the 3, I would take Katron Allen. Great work at Penn State last year. He was top 5 running backs in rushing for college football in 2025, even with Nicholas Singleton there. I'm a big Katron Allen guy, even though the vibes aren't there. I like the numbers, don't like the vibes. Denver, Dobbins versus Harvey versus Coleman. Over the next couple years, I'm still sticking with JK, my guy. He gets hurt every year, but he balls out when he's not hurt. We'll have to see with Coleman. But again, with Denver, I'm fading pretty much all these guys for the fact that Sean Payton is evil for fantasy football. So, last but not least, since you're all so sick of hearing my voice, just talk about all these running backs with no other takes, no greatness, just all heart right now. Let's talk about the rookies that were drafted. Jeremiah Love, number 1, to the Arizona Cardinals, 1.1 pick overall. Jadarian Price, round 1 pick by the Seattle Seahawks at 32. I would cap him. I mean, I take him as the 5th or 6th guy off the board in rookie drafts. To tell you the truth. I mean, I kind of hate that because I've learned from past experiences. I know like worst practices are drafting for need, but I think he could pay off at that price, especially when you're looking at in comparison to Mekhi Lemon. You're looking in comparison to Kenyon Sadiq, Casey Concepcion, like could totally be wrong. But I think Jadarian Price has a lot more opportunity than those guys I just listed. Kalen Black, I think this is a major sleeper. I think fantasy football managers are looking at him as a prospect, which, I mean, is perfectly viable, but like the Niners are going to try to get him out there. And I know Jordan James is a big name right now. Jordan James is a guy that fantasy managers like way rather have Jordan James than Kalen Black, but If the Niners believed in Jordan James, they wouldn't have drafted Kalen Black in the 3rd round, especially with all these other names I have bet the list coming off the board. So, Kalen Black, guy to keep an eye on. I'd take him in the 3rd, 4th round of my rookie drafts in 2026. Kind of as a flyer, hold on to him, see what happens, let that backfield shake out. Jonah Coleman, Broncos, talked about. I think that was, for, the fantasy community, the 3rd best back off the board. He can get drafted at day 4 in a really, I think, bad situation. So that's not great. Love Mike Washington Jr. I think he is extremely underrated. Where he was drafted to Las Vegas, I think everybody loves Genty, and I think Genty gets hot. He will have that breakout season, but I think the Raiders want to protect Genty, and I think they're gonna be like the Ravens. They're gonna rush the ball over 400 times this year. Nick Singleton to the Titans, don't love it. He has 2 running backs in front of him. Yeah, Tajay Spears is gonna go. Could get opportunity in the next couple years, but I was in a rookie draft where somebody took him at 112, and I don't agree with that. Adam Randall, next guy off the board, drafted to the Ravens. Hey, Henry falls off. He could be a guy. He is a big guy. He's a big, fast guy, so he could play that Derrick Henry role, but it's really up to him for the opportunity. Spoke about Katron Allen, next guy off the board for the Commanders. I like him more than Randall, Singleton. I would say that's it. I like Washington a lot. Washington had a really good combine. He's a huge guy. He's 6'3". I think he's going to really he's going to mirror Ashton Genty very nicely in Vegas. Damon Claiborne is is a guy that I really, really, really like with Minnesota. Aaron Jones hasn't had a complete season in the past couple years. I think he did in 2024, but he wasn't that great. Jordan Mason has never had a complete season since he's been a starter, even with San Francisco when he stepped in for CMC. So I think Damon Claiborne should get opportunity, and opportunity means points. Seth McGowan, Indy, third option. Apparently, Giddens is getting more work than McGowan, so they don't like him that much, so won't worry about him. Jam Miller to New England was the last running back drafted in draft. Not worried about him. Don't unless he pops up unless Travion Henderson gets hurt, Ramondre Stevenson, I won't worry about Jam Miller. But that's it, guys. That's it from Alex. Solo episode. We crushed it. Thank you for everybody listening. Like what you heard, have any questions, follow us on Instagram and YouTube, Fantasy Football for Everyone. We have content on YouTube, episodes fully published. We have some really cool reels going on Instagram. And please make sure you click that link for the Smart Money tool. Use that to make some money this summer. And I didn't announce this earlier, but we do have a promo code, 10% off first purchase, F4E, to get rich, giving you some really good bets. Use the tool, go make some money. But thank you, everybody, for listening. Dave, Art, miss you guys. Can't wait to pod with you again. But F4E out. Thank you, everyone.